Hey, listen, before you lose another Foreman, steal this training that I built just for owners, just like you, cabinet shop owners, millwork companies, maybe if you're manufacturing closets. But if you keep losing your Foreman, if you are finding yourself in a place where you just can't get stability in the leadership on your team, it's got to be gnawing away at you, eating away at you. And you can steal this training that I built. We're actually running a Foreman training right now. So I'm going to give you an overview of some of the things we talk about here in the training. You're going to be able to put in place yourself. There's three things we're going to cover today. First one is it's not bad luck that you've got. It's a missing system. You don't have bad luck hiring. You've got missing systems. So I want to talk to you today about onboarding. I want to talk to you about the meeting tempo that you've got, what to talk about, what the agenda is in that meeting, and then share a little bit of the survey results that we got from the 26 companies who are currently taking Foreman training right now. There's 26 cabinet and millwork shops, woodworking shops in this training right now. Matter of fact, later today, we have one of our training meetings. If you want to find out more about it, obviously get in touch with me. But look, before you lose another Foreman, steal this training. Take a bunch of notes. If you're driving, you shouldn't be watching this live if you're driving, by the way. Maybe at your Starbucks, grabbing a coffee. Take some notes is my point. Do something to keep yourself occupied. But you know, how many real life examples can I share with you of owners that have said to me, Dom, we've lost 3 good guys in 3 years. You know, we had a great benchman. We had a guy that was a great installer, really good at his job. So we thought we'd promote him, put him in charge of the crew, overseeing everybody. And then they just burn out. They end up leaving. And so you lose 2 really good things. You lose a great person who is a great skilled technician. You lose a leadership position on that team, and you really lose a lot more because, you know, losing a great person takes an impact on the company. So we don't want to do that, right? So how many times have I heard that? How many times have you seen that happen in your business, right? And again, it's not a bad luck on your side. You can't blame luck for something like that. It's a missing system. I can't blame luck, but I can blame my missing systems, and I can fix systems. I just can't fix luck. If I could, trips to Las Vegas would take on a totally different meaning, right? And remember, listen, if you ever want to talk about how to train your foreman, I'll train your foreman for you. You can always send me a text message to find out more. If you want to be in one of the future foreman and supervisor trainings that we have, just text me. You know, my cell phone number is 315-903-7853, and just, you know, say foreman training, and then we'll get talking. But let's go into agenda item number 1 for today's meeting, which is onboarding. Now, onboarding can sound, first of all, it sounds great. You know you're going to do it. You're hiring the next person. We're going to onboard him. You go home to your wife at that night and you're going to say, we're going to onboard this guy perfectly. And then the day gets ahead of you. Day 1 goes by. You do a great job. You maybe give him a tour of the facility, show him where everything is, introduce him to all the guys. This is going to be different. Maybe you give him a book to read. Maybe you set up some meetings. Day 2 comes along. There's an emergency. Day 3, we got to postpone. I've just got to run off to this job site. Day 4 comes along. He's in the middle of something and he says, hey, listen, can we just push this off till tomorrow? And you say, yeah, of course. He's doing his work. He's really digging in. And we've missed an important stage in bringing somebody into the company properly in that leadership position, which is onboarding. So here's what onboarding should look like. You can see me looking all over the place because I've got notes here and a camera there. But one of the simplest things to do in onboarding is start by taking it very seriously. If you don't take it seriously, nobody else will. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be a professional business trainer, business coach like me at all. No, just go through a couple of very important things. Who are we as a company? Like, Dom, that has nothing to do with our CNC. It has nothing to do with our dock load versus grade load decision-making on when we're staging products at the back or pre-build and store thoughts and how we strategize that to get to a job. No, it doesn't. You're right. It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with the way you want to build this empire of a business, right? That's what we're looking for. So first, start with who we are as a company, because that will drive good decisions when you're not there. And the goal, by the way, of listening to old Dommy's podcast is you don't have to be there to run this company. That's the goal of this thing, right? Hopefully you knew that. Hopefully you knew that, right? I want you to be a business owner who just happens to run a cabinet shop, not a cabinet shop owner who jumps from job to job. It's a different headspace, right? So the very first thing in onboarding, who are we as a company? If you're taking notes, write this down. who are we as a company? Number two, what our real priorities are. And number three, how decisions are made. Let's say that's all you cover in day one. That's all you cover. What a great place to start. In day one of training this person, onboarding him, obviously introducing him to a team, showing him where he's going to be working, showing him his office and give him his passcodes and his keys and all those things. Who are we as a company? What our real priorities are, how decisions are made. We haven't even gotten into the leadership training stuff. This is obviously where we lean in to assist companies that really want to make sure they lock down this position. But you need to add some leadership training in there, how you lead, what you'll stand for, what you don't stand for, right? That's why we talk about values. I understand that values sounds a lot like choosing the color of your favorite unicorn, right? But really, values drives everything. Values drives how you chose the building you're in. Values drives how you made a decision to lease or buy that CNC. Values drives every decision you make. And we want those values to come through to our people so they know how to make decisions as well. For instance, item number 2 in onboarding is what our real priorities are. What's our real priority at this company? Everybody's got a different answer, right? You might think, well, it's to serve the customer. Another person will say, well, that's ridiculous. Our real priority is to make money. Somebody else will say, my real priority is to get this day done, everybody home safe, so I can get home to my family because I just volunteered as my daughter's softball coach. I don't know what your priorities are, but you know what your priorities are, right? What are his or her priorities as a foreman or a supervisor in your company? So have that conversation. Don't rush the onboarding. Let the onboarding go as long as it needs to, because what you're doing is you're building a mini me, right? You're not going to replace yourself, but you're going to build a mini me, somebody who understands your thoughts, your thought process, the logic that you apply when looking at a problem, so that takes it off your plate. And while they're taking care of, let's just say the shop in this instance, right? The foreman of the shop, while they've taken care of the shop, maybe you can take care of things that are popping up on installs or things that are popping up in the office or new bids that are coming in or going to meet architects and designers to get bigger and better deals. I don't know what it is for you, but you know exactly what it is for you, right? Anyways, number one, for training your foreman or your supervisor is onboarding. And right before you lose another foreman, you got to steal this training system. I built it just for owners like you. We surveyed about 100 foremen to build this training. And you guys that have been watching me and listening for years, I think this podcast has been going and the YouTube channel has been going for a very long time. We surveyed 100 foremen and supervisors to help us build the material for the foreman and supervisor training. And we heard the craziest things. I'll just jump ahead to it for a second. Let me scroll down here. 3 of the 8 pieces of major feedback we got from foremen is too much responsibility, not authority, no training or leadership tools, and 3, feeling trapped or burned out. You can watch previous episodes of these Facebook Lives to see what the full list of 8 is, or get in touch with me when we talk about the foreman training. Whatever you like to do, it's up to you. But there were 8 really important chunks of info that came out of 100 conversations that we were part of with other foremen and supervisors out there in the field about why their position didn't work or wasn't currently working. Imagine being a fly on the wall and understanding the real motivations of your foreman and supervisor before the problem came up. I don't know if you were this guy, but back in high school, I was always the guy that wanted a copy of last year's exam before we walked into the big test. Were you that? Because why would I have to try and guess what the test was? And so I'd always be asking the kids in the grade ahead of me, I guess if they're still around, you always know somebody, right? Like your best friend's sister was a year ahead. You're like, does she still have the test on that chemistry exam? Or what are they going to ask about in the English test? I wanted to be that person. I always wanted to know the test before I walked in. Well, same thing here. Don't you want to know the concerns of the foreman before those concerns get raised to you, or the foreman storms off and quits? The story I was telling earlier is about a guy that lost 3 people in 3 years, 3 good foremen in 3 years. That's why I want to train your foreman for you. And that's why there's 26 companies in the current foreman training right now, 26 sitting there, eager, taking notes. And that's 26 companies. Each of them has a foreman with them. This training is incredible. And everybody's walking away with good stuff. Leadership skills, which was item number 3 here. What did I say? This is 3 of the 8 things we learned. Too much responsibility, not enough authority. Number 2 on that list, no training or leadership tools. Well, that's where we come in, right? Anyways, we covered off what onboarding should look like, and hopefully you grabbed those for your notes. Who we are as a company, what our real priorities are, and how decisions are made. Now that takes care of day one, maybe the first couple of minutes, maybe the first hour, maybe you guys grabbed a coffee together. I don't know. But now what I want you to do is set a meeting time every single week on rinse and repeat. You're going to do this forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. It's not going to go away. Okay. So forever, I want you to have at least, at the minimum, this is the bare minimum, 1 meeting a week. Now you're saying, hey, Rubino, I don't know if you know this, but meetings suck. We hate them. Our company doesn't need meetings. Meetings are a waste of time. Well, it's time for you to grow up. It's time for things to change in your company. That's how small companies think. Big, growing companies, vibrant companies, companies with a safe work environment, with a solid team, with a good culture that runs a profitable business where the owner doesn't have to be there every 10 seconds, that company runs on effective meetings. And of course, you can hear me talk about that a lot on the YouTube channel or on the podcast. But one of those meetings is just you and the foreman one-on-one, privately. Private is important. Confidential is important. Once a week, just you and him time. So let's say your foreman's name is Fred, right? Foreman Fred. It has a nice ring to it. So Foreman Fred and you need a time to just talk one-on-one, right? He needs time, just FaceTime with you, right? Now there's an agenda for this meeting, but I really want to emphasize that you need this time set aside. Now, if you don't currently use a block schedule or any sort of calendar tool, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, because there is 52 weeks of time management tips on the Cabinet Maker Profit System YouTube channel. I went and recorded 52 different time management tips for you as the owner of a woodwork shop so that you can solve this challenge here, right? 52 weeks, all the answers you'd ever need, an entire year of time management tips, right? So that you can do the kind of things we're talking about here. Just 1 meeting a week, you and him. It's just got to be half an hour, 30 minutes, right? Now, here's something important. It's kind of a little side trick, if you don't mind me saying. Sorry, folks, I'm just getting over a cold. Plus, I love my coffee, but got to keep my throat going or I'm going to start coughing. When you're having the meeting with Foreman Fred might not be as used to sitting at a desk as you and me. It's maybe not his thing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But if it isn't his thing, you try to be aware of that. So you can have this meeting standing. And if you want, you can have this meeting walking around. Thank God it's spring right now. You might have to change your ideas on this in the dead of winter. But go for a walk with the guy. If there's a coffee shop, a couple minutes away, use that excuse to go for a walk with Foreman Fred. Just talk about stuff. You're confidential. You're in a private environment. It's not as stressful. He's moving so he can keep himself mentally occupied. He's not sitting at a desk where it's like, unless you're used to sitting at a desk, it's very confining, right? So now let's talk about the agenda of that meeting. That was just a little bonus bump there for helping and motivating and leading people. Here's the agenda for the meeting. First thing you want to talk about is your numbers. We'll talk about numbers another time, but what numbers are important to you and to Foreman Fred? Number 2, you just want to ask him, hey, Fred, what's up? And just let him vent. I call it a steam valve, right? You just want to give him an opportunity to tell you what's up. And he's going to say, yesterday, that delivery driver, he comes in here all the time. He comes in and he just parks his truck right there. Everybody's trying to come in and out, but he's in the office talking to the new receptionist that we've got. And he just hitting on her all the time. And he just leaves his truck sitting there. And he just wants to talk about it. It's frustrating to him. I mean, you need to know that too, because the new receptionist is your daughter, and you should probably be aware of this. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. But right, whatever Foreman Fred is going to tell you is important to him. It's burning a hole in his stomach. And so just ask him, hey, man, what's up? Right? And so he'll tell you what's up. So listen. Just listen. All right, listen. Okay, that's what's up. Good. I need to know that. Understand. Great. Thank you. Okay. And maybe you find some decisions that you need to make or things you can help him with. My goal as a leader and your goal as a leader is I want to remove the roadblocks for my leaders, right? So maybe now I know that for that delivery company, when they come in there, we just have to tell them to go park somewhere else. And by the way, stay away from my daughter. Let's do that, right? Whatever you want to say, right? Told you I need to drink this coffee. I'm going to cough the whole time. Sorry, folks. Okay, so we're having the meeting. right? One-on-one meeting with Foreman Fred. Numbers is agenda item number 1. Agenda item 2 is what's up. Agenda item 3, where are you stuck? The 4th thing is how can I lean in to get you unstuck? And then the 5th thing on the agenda is what are we looking forward to next week? So let me go through those just a little bit slowly. So we've just talked about numbers. We just talked about what's up, the truck, the delivery, stay away from my daughter type stuff. Where are you stuck? So ask Foreman Fred, hey man, where are you stuck right now? And he's like, we can't find any bar clamps. What? These things have legs. They start walking. And you're like, no, they're in the paint. They're in the paint booth. Da, da, da. Okay, well now he knows, right? But where are you stuck? Something is stuck. Maybe the veneers are not getting stitched properly and it's causing a lot of backups. I don't know. You and I have heard the same things 1,000 times, right? But he just needs to tell you where he's stuck because you're like, what we have around the back behind that cabinet, there's a thing. That thing solves that thing. And when you solve that thing, that'll open up the other thing. And then we got room. I just had a conversation yesterday with a very high-end shop that does retail display units for very, very high-end retail. And they have a space problem. They're a very narrow building and it's very vertical when ideally it would be a nice laid out flat plant. It's just not possible. The way they've grown and the way real estate is in their area, it just is what it is. You can't change the building like that, right? As a matter, actually, good news story. They just bought a new building because we've been working towards that in coaching. Another story. But because of that, the owner's very aware of how to move things in the building and stage things so that stuff moves properly because he's been doing it for 20-something years. Does a new foreman know how to do that? So that might be where Foreman Fred is stuck. So he's just got to tell you. And then you can tell him, you move this, you move that, you do that again, then you do this, and it gets through. So that's what he's going to lean on you for, right? And then again, how can I lean in to get you unstuck? That's what you're there to do. That's what I'm there to do. As leaders, we're there to get our people unstuck. That's why I want to train your foreman for you. And again, if you want to be in the next foreman and supervisor training, I guess you need to learn more about it. You can't do it here. Call me or text me. And we'll set an appointment. My phone number is 315-903-7853. And just say, grab your phone, Foreman training. Just send me that. And then we'll set a time and I'll chat and talk you through it. And if it's for you, it is. If it isn't, it isn't, right? Anyways, that's the agenda for the meeting. And I want you to have that meeting once a week. Now, that's the bare minimum expectations. For those of you who are really internally driven, for those of you who really, really want to put the afterburners on, have that meeting twice a week. And let me tell the agenda again. Let me tell you the agenda again so you burn it in. Numbers, what's up? Where are you stuck? How can I lean in to get you unstuck? And what's upcoming next week? It's really just 5 things. But you don't have to prepare an agenda in advance if that's always the agenda. And I hope you've noticed that at least twice today, I've taken you really high in the mindset of a business owner, of an entrepreneur, right? When we talked about onboarding, it wasn't about how to turn on the CNC. It's about who we are as a company, who our ideal client is. What are we really here to do? How do we deal with our priorities? That's so high up there that it helps people make decisions below it. I'll let them make their decisions. They might make some mistakes, but hey, they're going to make mistakes anyway, right? But we can fix those as long as they know where the decisions have to come through how do you say it? Like the filter or the lens for how we make our decisions, right? That's the power here. And then the second thing we talked about here is, and we talk about this in Foreman training, is how to have this kind of meeting, how to have effective meetings and not waste time, right? That's what Foreman and supervisor training is all about. Now, if you're not an expert at Foreman and supervisor training because you're truly too busy, blame Dom. Just put that authority on me and we'll figure out a way to help you. And then you can move on to do other things, right? All right, before we finish, I want to wrap up by saying these are 3 of the 8 things we learned when we surveyed 100 foremen and supervisors, because I wanted to have real life feedback. I'm not a big fan of theory. Quite often in the coaching meetings that I have, and we've got coaches here as well, everybody here is a senior executive. Like all the coaches on my team run their own construction companies. They all are trained as business coaches. They're all trained here internally, and we all are trained the same way to solve issues in an unemotional, logical way, right? Now, we like to have fun because why not? But there's a process for getting people unstuck. And sometimes one of our tools, when you're doing a Zoom call, you can record the call. Quite often, myself and my coaches will say, I think it's time to turn off the recording and let's have a real conversation. You're not going to find this in a book. Actually, you want to hear one of the things? Yesterday, I had a conversation myself with a client, another very high-end architectural millwork shop. Their shop, if you were to walk through it, it looks more like they're making art than they're making wood. If you called them a cabinet maker, that would be wrong. They might make a few cabinets, but they're making art out of wood. And so I said that. I'm like, hey, we should probably turn off the recording right now. I'm like, okay. They know the good stuff's coming. And the big takeaway at that moment for the pain that they had in the thing, you're never going to hear this in a textbook. No MBA is ever going to teach this to you. The big takeaway line from that whole thing, that whole little conversation is this: no one will hold me hostage in my own company. That's what I mean about reality. I don't have a lot of time for theory. Sometimes you just got to talk to a guy with gray hair and wrinkles who's been there, got his nose busted a bunch of times, but keeps climbing back in the ring, right? Anyways, that's why we talk to 100 foremen, because there's no use making it up out of thin air. You got to talk to the people. You got to go walk the floor, Gemba, right? The Gemba walk, for those of you familiar with lean. Anyways, 3 of the 8 things we learned from surveying 100 different foremen and supervisors. Of those 8, here are 3. I had too much responsibility and not enough authority. There was no training or leadership tools. I mean, you asked me to be a leader, but you didn't show me how to be a leader. These guys don't come to you as a natural born leader, right? Maybe they're a leader of a local, I don't know, soccer team. Maybe they're the president of the soccer association in their city. I don't know. But nobody's ever trained them to be a leader of your trade, leading people safely with quality control, making sure there's no rework. We have to do that, right? One of the best foremen I ever had a chance to work with, and this guy was incredible, like just incredible. He was trained as a fireman, and he learned, you might think firemen are command and control type people, but he was a very level-headed guy. And if you're out there, Big D, I'm talking to you. He was trained as a fireman, but he brought that leadership training from being a fireman into the shop. And their shop was, I'm going to say 80 people, give or take a few. So he really had a serious sized crew, right? With 80 people, he had a whole bunch of sub leaders as well. And then they had some sub leaders too. So it was a serious crew. He was a fireman. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about leadership training. Anyways, the number 3 of this list of 8 is I feel trapped or burned out. We talked about this yesterday. One of the reasons that people feel trapped is because you gave them a raise, which is what we do, right? We're excited. We're going to take Foreman Fred. We're going to give him a raise. He's going to feel good. He goes home to his wife and his kids and says, hey, I'm being a better provider. I put more food on the table. But now he's trapped. He can't go back to his wife and say, honey, I'm going to go back to being a benchman. I'm going to go back to making less money. He also can't easily say, I'm going to cross the street and go back to being a benchman or a finisher or an installer and say, I'm going to take home less money. That's a tough conversation at your kitchen table. So he feels trapped, and then he gets to resent the position. And then we don't wonder why it's not working properly. So anyways, I'm here. That's why I'm saying I want to train your foreman. If you have any of those pains or frustrations, lean on me. Send me a text and just say foreman training. My cell phone, as you guys know, is 315-903-7853. And just say foreman training. Then we'll start the conversation. That's all it is, just a start of the conversation. It's probably only going to be 30 minutes. Very high level overview. If you're interested, you're interested. If you're not, you're not. Whatever. But, education is the key. This is where we live in a time of knowledge, not in a time of physical assets anymore. It's knowledge. It's what you know that's going to drive you forward. And I want to make sure your foremen know how to lead teams. Well, listen, thanks for checking in. I super appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with me while I'm sipping more coffee than normal, trying to stop from coughing on this quick episode. But yeah, we surveyed 100 people. We have 26 people in this training right now. 26 companies, sorry, not 26 people, 26 companies in the training right now. And before you lose another foreman, steal this training that I built for you here, right? This all started because somebody lost 3 foremen in 3 years. And it's not bad luck. I had to remind him he has missing systems. And those systems were, are you onboarding your team? Like, are you onboarding your foreman when they join? Do you have a regular weekly meeting? And then based on the feedback that we know, where's the weak point in your company? And we all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. I'm not, just call it is what it is. And I shared 3 of them here with you today. So again, if you want to find out more, just send me the word foreman training. text me, shoot me a note, 315-903-7853. Otherwise, have a great day, and we'll talk to you when we do. Bye-bye.